All right. Kinks has dementia, and the evidence of this just keeps rolling in. It's my understanding that one of the symptoms of dementia is called sundowners, where they stay up all night long, the person who has fallen prey to dementia, and do crazy shit. And so let me just tell you what Kinks did at 2 a.m. Pop this up. So he's triggered by late night comedians, terrified of late night comedians. And he puts on live social. And I want to remind everybody, this is the president of the United States at 1:56 a.m. on a social media platform that he had to create because he was kicked off of all of the others because he tried to overthrow the government. But here's what he says. There is a sick rumor going around that fake news NBC extended the contract of one of the least talented late night television hosts out there, Seth Meyers. He has no ratings, talent, or intelligence and the personality of an insecure child. So why would fake news NBC extend this dope's contract? I don't know, but I'll definitely be finding out. So the projection here, the personality of an insecure child is off the charts. But why is a sitting president of the United States meddling in the contract of a late night comedian with a private corporation? Why is he doing this at 2 a.m.?
Well, because he's an authoritarian, because CBS has bent the knee. He now wants NBC to bend the knee because Stephen Colbert hurt his feelings. What amazes me about this is the fuck your feelings party. And this man has his feelings hurt all the time. And to say no intelligent, like, come on, you big fat dope. It's ridiculous.
I think what gets me about the MAGA movement, and when we were flying, we're in New York right now, viewer. And so when we were flying here, you always see a couple of guys on a flight that have on MAGA coded merch. And the guy sitting next to me, it was like Patriot Protector was his t-shirt, and it had like an eagle and the flag on it with a black, it's black and white. And it's they're MAGA immediately. And so they try to exude this, I'm such a badass. And how do they then, how do you square that circle? Once you're like, I'm a badass and I'm testosterone and I get big tires for my truck and I I lift weights and drink creatine. And then you read that, because it's such a whining, immature, sophomoric, petty, ridiculous thing. Like any adult, much less the president of the United States, like Angie, if you put on your Instagram story at 2 a.m., like I've had it with, these late Stephen Colbert, he really pisses me off. He has no talent. His contract shouldn't be renewed. I would call you the next morning. Like, are you okay? Like, did you take some Ambien or something last night? Like, why would you post that? Nobody gives a shit what you think about that. So that's just my take. But in moving along, Sean Hannity has been one of the biggest sane washers of Republicanism, and then Trump comes into play, and he's the biggest Trump ass kisser. Well, here he is talking to former New York Mayor Bill de Blasio on his complications with living in New York City.
Here's my question, because look, I'm perfectly fine with Mamdani winning. You want to know why? Because it's not going to impact my life. I left New York. You know why I left New York? High taxes, quality of life, crime. I had a hard time going to a restaurant in New York City because people would stare at me and hated me and they had daggers in their eyes. You know what? I love down here in Florida.
Perfect. That's exactly the way these people should feel. And if you notice, he has for decades gone on the news every night and browbeat and marginalized and bullied people. He's dishing it out. But the second he has to take it, he has to pack up his toys and move to Kitten Hill, DeSantis' estate of Florida with all the other flea bags. No disrespect to my blue dots in Florida, because I do know you're there. But this is exactly the MAGA thing. I'm going to pick on everybody, but the minute somebody puts a mirror up and reflects it back to me, I'm going to have a stage 5 meltdown.
And what a baby, what a pussy, how butthurt do you have to be? You're such a real man with your, I had to leave because people were giving me dirty looks. Fuck you, Sean. If you believed in what you were saying, you would stand behind it, because we get shit all the time, but we don't pack up our toys because these people, I think this is a movement of insecure wannabe big guys with low T.
Yeah, and they're not very emotionally evolved. These are very emotionally stunted individuals. And Sean Hannity, that's the reaction. When you see somebody bully immigrants and you bully LGBTQ plus and bully women and stand up for the billionaires and beat on the working class and beat on people that are trying to get health care and beat on people that are trying to unionize so that they can fight for livable wages, and they see your ass in public and in New York, they're like, fuck you, motherfucker, and you deserve every bit of it. I think hats off to New York. I love that they drove that racist out of the state. Next up, we have this guy on Twitter, and this guy's like the biggest Trump sycophant. I see his tweets pop up all the time. His name is Eric Daugherty. And I really do think, I'm beginning to think, because Gavin Newsom has been trolling Trump for 3 weeks now. They still haven't figured it out.
No.
Pop this up, Kylie. Okay, so Gavin Newsom, this is about the Cracker Barrel logo, okay? So Gavin Newsom is like, a massive win, Patriots, all because of me, Gavin C. Newsom. Congratulations. And this is about Cracker Barrel going back to the old logo. This guy, Eric Daugherty, he puts a siren up, like the breaking news. California Governor Gavin Newsom is now claiming Cracker Barrel changed back to their logo because of him. Gavin is way over his fucking head. Like, I mean, I really do believe that they are either this stupid or they decided to be willfully stupid quite some time ago, probably around 2015, 2016. And once you decide to be willfully stupid, then the just abject stupidity and organic stupidity is the only natural evolution of that. And I want you guys to know that it's really important that we keep track of all of these news stories, who's a bullshit artist like Sean Hannity, and who is putting out red meat. There's nobody that I think is just a consistent disappointment as much as Susan Collins as a woman. Yeah. Senator Collins has always tried to play both sides. She has always tried to use this, well, I'm concerned. And I hope that Trump has learned his lesson. And she voted for the beer drinker that cried in his confirmation hearings. I mean, Boodle Baby cried, Brett Kavanaugh, all these MAGA men, Boodle Babies. Yeah. Anyway, she hates going out in public. And let me just show you why. She showed up in public the other day, and this is how the public reacted to seeing her.
The Republican Party has made to this big ugly bill. That's what you're get out of here. So,
now, if you would let me celebrate.
Okay, here's the situation. These politicians that have been in for so long on both sides, you guys, are so beholden to special interests, and they end up getting lobbied and sold out. And Susan Collins has sold out her soul, her gender, all of the work of all of the women that fought hard for a woman to be able to be in the U.S. Senate. And she's one of the reasons that Roe v. Wade is overturned. She has no courage. That woman deserves a profile in cowardice. Every single visceral shame I felt to the core of my being. These people need to be bullied because their policies hurt people, because their policies kill people. Women in red states die because they cannot receive health care because the physicians are afraid they will go to jail. This is insanity. And she, Mitch McConnell, all of them, they're all a part of this.
You know, it's so amazing to me because these Republicans, they go out and they have these press conferences. Well, we're concerned and all that, but they vote for Trump. They bend the knee for Trump. But then they go to their town halls and you just see over and over these Republican politicians are getting crucified in these town halls. At any point, do they say, I'm going to stand up and represent my constituents? Because at this point, we've got midterms, I mean, maybe in a year. And are they ever going to go into their caucuses and tell them we have to represent our constituents? Because I feel like there's a magnifying glass, particularly with all the cuts Donald Trump is making and the militarization of cities. In my heart, I feel like people are paying attention and these people are going to realize they are not voting for me. Do you have any hope in that? Or am I just,
the electorate, yes. I think the electorate is going to, if we have free and fair elections, I think the electorate is going to reject this. Do I have any faith in the Susan Collins of the world saying, hey, I need to listen to my constituents? No. And let me just tell you what they've brewed. Let me just show you some damning data regarding the Republican Party. Pop this up, Kylie. Okay, so 44% of Republicans said the courts shouldn't even be allowed to review Trump's policies, according to a CBS poll. 28% of Republicans said a president should be able to ignore Congress or Supreme Court when those institutions hold our country back, according to an Axios poll. That's 25%. 28% of the Republican Party believes this. 36% of the Republican Party said they wouldn't be at all bothered if Trump were to, quote, suspend some laws and constitutional provisions to go after political enemies. 36%, you guys. 28% of Republicans said the country needed a president who was, quote, willing to break some rules and laws to set things right. That's a Fox News poll. And 24% of Republicans said ahead of the 2024 election that if Trump lost, he should, quote, do whatever it takes to take power, according to a PRRI poll. And so we talk about a lot on iHip News, the contributing factors to this type of fanaticism. And they seem to be the following: white, radicalized by religion, and indoctrinated by propaganda news. And so that's why on this channel, we bash a lot of organized religion and we focus on, what Fox News is doing, because their methodology is working. And to think that the Republican Party that was 12 years ago has now shifted to those numbers is damning.